My sermon this month is based on the story of the loaves and the fishes and the feeding of the 5,000. It's a well-known story, and at the beginning of it, Jesus has headed into the mountains, probably for some well-earned rest and peace, but the crowd follows him. Isn't it interesting that his first question to the Apostle Philip when the people arrive is, "Where are we to buy bread for these people to eat?" He has obviously recognised that the people have had a hard climb and need physical sustenance. But there is a twofold problem: where to get enough and how to pay for it. And also, shouldn't we be more concerned with the bread of life rather than the physical food? There are some powerful comparisons to draw with today's society. Christianity should be looking towards helping people with both physical and spiritual food. You've only got to see the massive rise in dependence on food banks, especially during the pandemic. The Trussell Trust has recorded that over 100,000 households sought food aid from its network of food banks for the first time. And many churches, of course, contribute to local food banks and even use their premises directly to provide takeaway meals. But if you don't have enough food, you're not going to be able to be open to spiritual food. The theologian Maslow argues that lower levels of need, food, drink, shelter, have to be met before we have the capacity to embrace higher levels. Put bluntly, you can't hear the gospel on an empty stomach. Gandhi also said, to those without food, bread is the only form in which God dares to appear. For us who have enough food for our bellies, with the luxury of time to reflect on life and what it's all about, and not being fully occupied with finding food to feed our families, perhaps we should be truly reaching out to the marginalised, because that is where God is at work. The Archbishop of Canterbury recently took to the streets of Cambridge selling The Big Issue, that well-known magazine which provides employment opportunities to people in poverty. The aspect that struck him most was that people weren't looking him in the eye. Lee Wellham, who he was working with, confirmed that and said that people often do that. And it's a dreadfully demoralising feeling for those who already are in a bad place. But Jesus was also homeless as he preached around the country. As he said himself, "Foxes have dens and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has no place to lay his head." Jesus walked with the marginalised. In the whole of his life, he showed this. He reminds us, and this reading too reminds us, that the physicality of good deeds is intimately intertwined with the spiritual message. Jesus did give bread to the hungry, and he is himself the bread of life. We remember this each Sunday when we take the bread at the Eucharist, as the bread is broken, blessed and distributed in a manner anticipated in the feeding of the 5,000. So, as we go into the week ahead, let's try and remember that in the hands of Jesus, little can indeed become much, the few can become many, and the weak can become strong. Just as he feeds us, so we too have responsibility for the physical and spiritual well-being of the communities we find ourselves in.